I've had a chance to get acquainted with Scott Blackburn, and I am very honored to introduce him tonight as our keynote speaker. Would you please give a warm greeting as he comes? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dale, and thank you everybody for welcoming me here tonight. It's truly an incredible honor, and I know I'm standing between you all and dinner and salad. So Dale, if I go on too long, I'm known to talk a lot. So if I go on too long, just nudge me, and I will speed up. So we're pushing hard at the VA to do our best, but we can't do it without you. And I want to thank all of your leadership, and Dale and Al and the rest of the team for just doing a fantastic job and for being partners in advocacy with us. The feedback that you provide, whether it's on how do we develop vets.gov, just got some very good feedback on kiosks in there that learning a lot about, and how you represent your perspectives as we is incredibly key. I want to thank you all for the volunteerism that you do in your local VAs, and also the partnerships. One of the things that we have is an adaptive sports blind hockey program that we made a $75,000 grant, and we worked together on, which I think is fantastic. My kids play hockey. I'm a big hockey fan. I think that's absolutely terrific. In my one of the benefits of my role as the Deputy Secretary of VA is I get to travel a lot, and I get to meet a lot of really interesting and inspirational people. And I just want to talk a little bit about some of the people that I've met recently that have really inspired me and gotten me to appreciate more of some of the challenges that our blinded veterans face. One of them is I've gotten to know Tiffany and Scotty Smiley. Scotty was a West Point graduate, and just an absolutely fantastic couple out in Washington State, and understanding what they've gone through, and Tiffany as a caregiver, all that she has given up and all that she does to support Scotty, and it's so great seeing Scotty pursuing a career in finance, doing a Wall Street type of work, which is absolutely terrific, and continuing to thrive. The second one is I went out to Long Beach, California about 2 months ago, and met Dr. Sally Dang, the optometrist out there. And many of you probably know Sally. If not, I would certainly get to know her. But her husband was Major Charles Robert Soltis Jr., who was also an optometrist before he was killed by an IED in Iraq in 2004. And just seeing Sally's commitment and how she's carrying on her husband's legacy in Long Beach is incredibly inspirational. And I want to thank Sally, Thomas Zapiri, the head of congressional relationship, and Congressman Campbell, and all 53 members of the California House, who they worked together to get the state-of-the-art blind rehabilitation facility in Long Beach named after her husband. Now, I also heard a story that she actually applied for the job to lead that facility, and nobody at the VA actually made the connection. She applied under her maiden name. And so she is leading that facility that is named after her husband out in Long Beach. And it was just an incredible facility, and it was great to go out there. And while I was out there, I also got the opportunity to play a little golf on the putting green with Howard Payne, who was out there, a tremendous individual, and really had a great time. That was quite inspiring. A third encounter was I met the incredible talented artist Jim Stevens recently in Denver at VFW Post 1. And Jim told me the story how he was shot in the head in Vietnam, and for 27 years he could see. But one morning, apparently the shrapnel moved, and within 30 minutes Jim was blind, but continues to work as an artist as part of his rehabilitation, and just it's absolutely incredible what he's been able to do. So there's amazing people out there that, despite these injuries, are continuing to do incredible things. You all know them, you are them, and I thank you for the work that you do, and for inspiring people like me to do what I do. So just a little bit about me real quick. I'm an Army veteran. I was a scout platoon leader. I'm one of 5 children. Do we have a tab out here? All right. Whoa. One of 5 children, and all 5 of us served in the military. So 5 children, 5 veterans. Multiple uncles in Vietnam, 2 grandfathers in World War II. My grandmother was a nurse in World War II. My dad was a career FBI agent. So service is very important to me. And I was a lieutenant on 9/11, and I was injured overseas in 2012, or 2002, excuse me, and medically discharged in 2003. And as I think about all that has happened in I guess now 14 years since then, and a lot of the people I served with were not as fortunate. A lot of the people have come back injured, didn't come back at all. A couple of my soldiers taken their own lives. And there's much more that we need to do, particularly for those that have truly served and been injured. And when Bob McDonald called me in 2014 and he asked me if I'd like to serve my country again, it was an absolute no-brainer, and I'm very proud that I've been able to do that and work under some great mentors, Bob McDonald, Sloan Gibson, David Shulkin, some just great people, and I've learned so much. And in leading, I was around with the VA for the last couple of years. I led the transformation on behalf of Secretary McDonald, and we're shifting the VA. And hopefully you guys are beginning to see the fruits of that. We really focused over the last 2 years on changing the culture. We're moving from an organization that was traditionally focused on doing what's best for the VA, not what's best for the veteran. And if you think about the answer of what's best for the VA versus what's best for the veteran, then you often come up with a difference in the answers. And I kind of liken it to, I'm a big football fan. I live and die with the NFL. And I always cringe when I hear the term protect the shield used in the NFL. And when it's all about the fans and it's all about the athletes that are going out there and hurting. So you should be asking not protect the shield, but protect the fans, protect the athletes. And that's the kind of the shift that we are going through as the VA, of understanding that if we ask ourselves what is best for veterans, the answer isn't always the VA. And we're coming to the realization of that, really shifting the culture. We're moving from what has been a very siloed organization traditionally to one that more values collaboration, problem solving, integration. One that has moved traditionally from processes and thinking pushing something along is good enough to one that's more focused on outcomes. So don't tell me necessarily how you're going to get there, but more kind of judging the results by the outcomes that we're getting there. And we're moving from an organization that has traditionally been very guarded to one that's transparent. And I saw an article about a year or 2 ago that listed the VA as the most secretive organization in federal government, which I thought was impressive that we beat out the CIA and the NSA. But that's not what we strive for. And we are striving, and we set our new goal of being the most transparent organization in government. And we're publishing our wait times, we're publishing our accountability actions, and we're trying to be as transparent as we possibly can. We're looking for new ways to be transparent, provide the right information to our veterans. So hopefully you're seeing improvements. When we started this journey 2 years ago, we started with what are we trying to accomplish, and the big theme was rebuilding trust with veterans. When we started measuring how are we doing on rebuilding trust, only 47% of veterans came back to us and said, I trust the VA to fulfill our country's commitment to veterans. I'm proud that every quarter over the last 6 quarters, we've gone up. We've gone from 47% to 66%, which we're proud of. That's good. It's moving in the right direction. But that also means that 34% of veterans, we haven't re-earned their trust yet. So that means we still have an awful long way to go, and we're determined to get there. So we're continuing to move. The great thing where I think Secretary McDonald was the perfect secretary for the time of changing the culture. Secretary Shulkin, I think, is perfect for this time right now, where he is bold, he is decisive, he likes to move out, he likes to be edgy, and that's where we're trying to go right now. And we're trying to be big, bold, and edgy. With this administration, with this secretary, incremental change isn't good enough. He wants to see action quickly and moving drastically in the right direction. So we have 5 priorities at the VA right now, and I'll just kind of rattle through them real quick so you get a sense of some of the things that we're working on. Greater choice, providing veterans greater choice is one of our priorities. In order to have greater choice, you need more transparency, which is why we're doing what we're doing there. We believe in providing veterans options, and we're developing an integrated network of care that involves a strong VA care that I'll talk about here in a second, community care where it makes sense, virtual care where that makes sense, DoD care where that makes sense, and really kind of fitting them all together so that veterans get better care. The second priority is modernizing our systems. We had a good conversation on IT. IT is incredibly old. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Some of the systems that we're dealing with that are 40, 50 years old, that are running on cobalt green screen type of systems, where we're modernizing our electronic health records and all of our other records. We're taking a look at our footprint. We have 435 buildings that are completely vacant, that no longer has a use. Most of those are from Revolutionary or Civil War era. These are things like abandoned gas stations in Minnesota that are still on our books, and we're still paying maintenance costs, and we're getting rid of stuff that don't make sense anymore. And we're looking to reinvest into more modern facilities that we're doing. And just actually on Saturday, the President signed the choice extension bill. One of the things that we're very excited about that, in addition to the extension of choice, was one of the things we really wanted in there was the approval for $1.8 billion of leases, which will provide 28 new facilities around the country that we're very excited about. So we're looking to provide more points of access, more modern infrastructure. The third one is improving timeliness. We're moving to a system where your claims will all be done in 30 days or less. Just this morning, I got a preview of that. We're doing pilots in Minnesota and Texas, and it is working well. We're getting very, very positive feedback, and we're going to be rolling that out over the next couple of months nationwide. We're improving access to health care. We're improving the time for appeals. I was in New Orleans last week, and I met a veteran in the New Orleans regional office, and I sat down and talked with him, and I found out he had been waiting 8 years for his appeal, and he was hoping that this would be the final appointment where he'd find out he was approved. I gave him a coin as a good luck charm. I haven't gotten the feedback yet on how he did, but hopefully he did well. But 8 years is way too long, and next week, actually, the President will be signing legislation that has been several years in the works on appeals modernization, so that will all be done in less than a year going forward, so that will be a big deal as well. Our fourth priority is focusing resources. We are pushing resources to more of our foundational services, which I'll talk about in a second. We talked a little bit about in our leadership meeting a bit. Accountability is a big push for that. We want to hold our leaders accountable for both their good and bad performance. 99% of the workers at the VA are amazing people that go to work every single day to serve veterans. 120,000 of our workers are veterans themselves. These are great people. But we do have a couple of bad apples, and you guys know what it's like to work with the one person that holds the rest of the team back. So we've asked for more flexibility and gotten more flexibility to deal with those low performers and also reward high performers. And we're working better together with the DoD than we ever have before. And it's a little bit confusing to me why we ever didn't work with the DoD well, but we're improving that. And the fifth one, of course, is suicide prevention. And I was glad to see that we have a booth outside that will be up this week on suicide prevention. 20 a day is way too many. It's something that all of us who served have been affected by. And we're introducing new tools. We're introducing new partnerships. We're focusing on military to civilian transition. And working on a lot of those things. So that is a big priority. You're going to be hearing more from us in September. So we're pushing, we're changing cultures. There's been a lot of talk of privatization, and we are dead set against privatization. And as Secretary Shulkin has said that that will not happen on his watch. If that's what people want, we got the wrong secretary in place. But what we are looking for is this integrated network that I was talking about. And in order to do that, we need to strengthen what the VA is really good at. I come from a business background, and in business, if a company tries to be great at everything, they tend to not be good at anything. And so what we're going through right now is the exercise of figuring out what should VA care stand for, what are we truly great at, and then focusing our resources on those things and admitting where we're not good or we shouldn't be playing, and then leveraging the private sector or others who do better versus thinking that it's all about the VA and we have to do everything. So we are focusing our care. To me, it really boils down to 3 key points. One is the VA is better than anybody else in the private sector when we talk about caring for the whole veteran, right? The holistic veteran that it stands for, and we're going to play a role in that care coordination. The second one is the VA provides the best, most distinctive services around specialty care, particularly. And we're going to continue doing that. And that was a discussion that we had a little bit earlier. And we're going through what does that actually mean. And these are services like blind rehab and visual impairment, PTSD, prosthetics, spinal cord injury, polytrauma, war-related illnesses, pain management, opioid safety. These are things that the VA, these are bread and butter to us. And we are going to we're going to put resources in there. We're going to continue to be the best in the world and make sure that we shore up and double down in those areas that that really are great at. And we're going through that exercise to identify those, staff them up, make sure that we're investing in them and doing the right things. And then the third area that the VA is really distinctive and special at is outreach. When veterans fall down, who else picks them up? Right? The private sector healthcare system tends not to do things like homelessness and suicide prevention, veterans crisis line, and substance abuse, and veterans outreach, and veterans treatment courts when veterans get in trouble with the law. So we're going to continue to really focus on those areas and make sure that those are strong for us. Now, as we shift and as we create this integrated network, and a conversation I've had with a few of you, is we need feedback, right? We need to work together to figure out where those right lines are. We had a great conversation with Senator McCain about a month ago, right before he got diagnosed, and he was talking about in Arizona, we're starting to send, we have a pilot with CVS, and the veterans have the sniffles, and they just need to go and get something real quick. They go to CVS. They don't go to the create more congestion at the VA in Phoenix that is already very congested. And but if a veteran is really sick, right, we want them to come into the VA. and helping figure out that line, and particularly as we kind of work through with things like blind rehab and working together to get that feedback. The great thing about Secretary Shulkin, he's very bold. He likes to get out there and push the limits, but he's a great listener, right? And when people provide feedback, so we're going to depend on you all to continue to provide feedback as we have in the past. And let us know and let us think through these second and third order effects and making sure that we're thinking through them as well. So we appreciate that you guys continuing to be demanding partners. And just a few other things before I know we want to move on to dinner here. I just want to applaud, we're going to continue to invest in blind rehab services. We're the only healthcare system to be completely and seamlessly integrated with blind and visual rehab services from patients into health benefits. We're the only system of care that provides all the prosthetic devices and cutting edge across technology at no cost for visually impaired veterans. Last year we provided nearly 240,000 prosthetic devices to blind and visually impaired veterans. Last November, Dr. Nino Grigori, our chief of ophthalmology at Miami's VA Medical Center, restored a veteran's eyesight with the Argus Q retinal prosthesis, also known as a bionic eye. And I'm happy to report that that veteran is doing extremely well. And in May, Dr. Grigori just did another one in Birmingham, Alabama. So we're continuing to push on that and make sure that we're doing all of the right things and we're investing in research. I've gotten some good feedback from different folks just in kind of sitting in the cocktail lines and everything about investing more money in research and technology, and I agree 100% with that, and we need to completely continue to do that. So I want to thank you all for your partnership. I want to thank you all for your service and your commitment to country. I want to thank you all for continuing to support veterans and support each other in this. Our goal as the VA, we want to make sure that we are keeping our promise. We are in the new era. We want to make sure that we're earning the trust of all those veterans that we have not earned the trust back from. That means that we need to deliver on these things. So I want you to continue to hold us accountable for that and as we are moving forward. You've probably seen a lot of big announcements recently from the VA you've been following. Other than honorable mental health care is one, a new electronic health record, accountability, telehealth. The GI Bill signing is actually going to happen tomorrow in Bedminster with the President. Appeals modernization, that will be signed next week. And you can look forward to big announcements coming soon on suicide prevention in September. And also coming up in September, our modernization plan as we're kind of reorganizing to be leaner, meaner, and more supporting of our foundational services. You'll hear more about decision-ready claims that I talked about. You'll hear more about digitalization in our IT journey. You'll hear more about caregivers. One thing that Secretary Shulkin is incredibly passionate about is reinforcing the caregiver program. And he's even asked the team and kind of challenged them that why should any veteran that doesn't want to leave their home at the end of life, why should they have to leave their home? And so we're thinking through that. So there's a lot of exciting stuff going on with the VA. We're working hard. We're here to serve you all. And I want to thank you all for your service. Thank you all for inviting me here. It's a tremendous honor. And please enjoy your dinner.